I am Henry Wu, and on the morning I planned to hand my Seattle tech company over to my son. My accountant called at 6:47 a.m. His voice was unsteady. Henry, don't sign anything today. Meet me at the cafe on Mercer Street in 1 hour. Come alone. And whatever you do, don't tell Eric or Vanessa. Then he hung up. I sat in my home office, watching the sunrise paint Puget Sound gold through the window, and felt my stomach drop. David had been my accountant for 18 years. He didn't call at dawn, he didn't tremble, and he certainly didn't tell me to keep secrets from my own son. My hand shook as I put down my phone next to the transfer papers I'd been reviewing since 4 a.m. I was 63 years old. I thought I'd earned the right to step back, to let my son take the company I'd built from nothing, to travel, to visit my daughter in Chicago more often, to finally scatter my late wife's ashes in the places she'd always dreamed of. The company was called Wu Tech Systems. Nothing flashy, but we'd built reliable security software for small businesses, grown from 3 people in a garage to 45 employees across 2 floors downtown. My son Eric had been VP of operations for 3 years. He seemed ready. At least, that's what I told myself. I dressed quietly, even though I lived alone in a 5-bedroom house that felt too empty since Lisa passed 2 years ago. Old habits. I left through the garage, half expecting Eric's silver Audi to be outside like it had been every morning for the past 3 weeks. He'd been so attentive lately, bringing me coffee, reviewing documents, making sure I ate. "You're working too hard, Dad," he'd say. "Let me handle more." The cafe was nearly empty. David sat in the back booth, looking like he hadn't slept. He was 60, usually calm as still water. But today his tie was crooked and there were coffee stains on his shirt. "Thank God you came," he said as I sat down. "I wasn't sure you would." "David, what's going on?" He pulled out his laptop and opened a spreadsheet. 3 months ago, you asked me to start training Eric on the company finances, remember? I nodded. Of course. He needs to understand everything before the transfer. Henry, he's been moving money. David turned the screen toward me. Small amounts at first. $4,000 here, $9,000 there. Coded as consulting fees, equipment purchases, contractor payments. I started digging after something felt off. None of these vendors exist. My mouth went dry. How much so far? $219,000. The number hit me like a punch to the chest. I sat back, the vinyl seat creaking under me. There has to be an explanation. Maybe he's setting up something for the company. A surprise. Henry. David's voice was gentle but firm. Yesterday I found out he's been meeting with buyers. He's planning to sell the company the moment you transfer it to him. I have emails. The sale price is $4.1 million. You were going to give it to him for free. He'd pocket everything, and the buyers would gut the company for the technology and let everyone go. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. My son. The boy I'd taught to ride a bike, helped with homework, walked down the aisle at his wedding 6 months ago to Vanessa, a woman I'd never quite trusted but accepted, because Eric loved her. Show me everything, I said. We sat there for 2 hours. David had been thorough. Bank statements, emails Eric had been careless enough to send from his work account, meeting notes about the sale. The buyers were a venture capital firm from Los Angeles. They wanted our client list and proprietary software, planning to merge it into their own platform and dissolve WooTech entirely, and Vanessa was in on it. Several emails showed her pushing Eric to move faster, to take more money, to seal the deal before I got suspicious, or worse, before I got too sick to function. Too sick to function. The words burned. There's something else, David said quietly. The past 3 weeks since Eric's been bringing you coffee every morning. I think you should see a doctor. I'm fine, I said automatically. Just tired. The stress of the transition. Henry, you've lost weight. You're pale. You told me last week you've been having dizzy spells and nausea. My blood ran cold. The coffee. Eric brought it every morning in a thermos, said it was a special blend Vanessa made. I drank it to be polite, even though it tasted bitter. I'd been feeling progressively worse for weeks, but I chalked it up to age, to grief, to working too hard. You think he's poisoning me? David's face was grim. I think you need to see a doctor today, and I think you need to be very, very careful. I drove straight to my doctor's office and insisted on a full blood panel. Dr. Reyes saw me right away, concerned by my appearance. Henry, you look terrible. What's going on? I told her everything. She ordered comprehensive tests, including a heavy metal screening. Results will take a few days, she said. In the meantime, stay away from anyone who might be giving you food or drink. Do you have somewhere safe to stay? I thought of my daughter Julie in Chicago, but I couldn't leave. Not yet. I'll be careful, I promised. Instead of going home, I checked into a hotel near the waterfront under my middle name. I called Julie from the hotel phone. Dad, whose number is this? Honey, I need you to listen carefully and not panic. I told her everything. There was a long silence. That son of a, she finally said. I knew Vanessa was bad news, but Eric, Dad, I'm getting on the first flight to Seattle. No, I said firmly. Not yet. I need to handle this carefully. If they know I'm suspicious, they might accelerate their plan. I need proof. I need to protect the company and our employees, and I need to make sure justice is served. Dad, you could die. I won't. I'm smarter than they think. Over the next 3 days, I worked from the hotel room. I called an old friend, Marcus, a private investigator who'd retired from the Seattle PD. He set up hidden cameras in my house while Eric was at the office. Tiny ones in the kitchen, the living room, my office. The blood tests came back. Arsenic. Not enough to kill me quickly, but enough to make me sick, confused, weak. Dr. Reyes wanted to hospitalize me immediately, but I convinced her to start me on chelation therapy as an outpatient. I need to stay mobile, I told her. I need to finish this. Marcus's cameras caught everything. Vanessa preparing the coffee in my kitchen, carefully measuring a clear liquid from a vial hidden in her purse. Eric watching her, looking nervous, but not stopping her. Their whispered conversation. It's almost over. He's so weak now. Once he signs and dies, we're set for life. The death certificate will just say natural causes, heart failure, he's old. I watched that footage 3 times. Each viewing made me colder, harder. This was my son. I'd held him when he was born, comforted him through nightmares, paid for his education, his wedding, set him up in the business. And he was willing to kill me for money. But I wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. I met with my lawyer, Patricia Kim, and showed her everything. She was shocked, angry, but professional. We need to involve the police. Not yet. I need to protect the company first. If this goes public too soon, it could destroy everything anyway. Together, we crafted a plan. Patricia drew up new transfer documents that looked identical to the originals, but with crucial differences. The company would transfer to a trust controlled by a board I selected, with Eric as a minority stakeholder and paid employee. He'd get a salary, nothing more. And there was a clause. Any criminal conviction would void even that. Then I called Eric. Dad, where have you been? I've been worried sick. His voice was perfect concern. The perfect son. I've been thinking, I said, keeping my voice weak and slightly confused, the way I knew he expected. You're right, I'm tired. Let's move the signing up. Can you and Vanessa meet me at the house tomorrow at noon? I want to do this as a family. I could hear the smile in his voice. Of course, Dad. That's wonderful. We'll be there. I hung up and felt nothing but cold determination. The next morning, I returned home for the first time in 4 days. Marcus had positioned plainclothes police outside, coordinated with a detective friend of his who owed him favors. They'd seen the camera footage. They were waiting for the right moment. At 11:45 a.m., I sat at my dining room table with the fake documents in front of me. I'd added one more touch, a bottle of vitamins on the counter, the same brand I always took, but these were cleaned from Patricia's office. Eric and Vanessa arrived right on time. Vanessa was carrying the thermos. I made your favorite, she said, smiling warmly. Thought we should celebrate properly. That's so thoughtful, I said, taking the cup she poured. I raised it to my lips, then set it down. Actually, I think I'll wait until after we sign. I want a clear head for this. Eric's smile flickered for just a second. Of course, Dad. Whatever you want. We sat down. I pulled the documents toward me, made a show of reading them slowly, my hands shaking slightly. Eric, before I sign this, I need to ask you something. Anything, Dad? Do you love me? He blinked, thrown off balance. Of course I love you. You're my father. And you want what's best for me? For the company? For all the people who've worked for us for years? Absolutely. That's why I'm ready to take over, to preserve your legacy. I nodded slowly. Then I pushed the documents away. I can't do it. His face went white. What? I can't sign these. Something doesn't feel right. I stood up, steadier than I'd been in weeks. Actually, that's not true. I know exactly what's wrong. I know what you've been doing, Eric. Both of you. Vanessa stood up fast, her chair scraping. I don't know what you're talking about. The money you've stolen, the buyers you've lined up, the poison you've been putting in my coffee every single morning for 3 weeks. I pointed to the thermos on the table. That coffee right there. Eric's face went through several expressions: shock, fear, anger, calculation. Then he laughed, but it sounded forced. Dad, you're not making sense. The stress has gotten to you. Maybe you should sit down. The arsenic has gotten to me, you mean? I pulled out my phone and pressed play. Their voices filled the room, crystal clear from the footage. Once he signs and dies, we're set for life. All the color drained from Eric's face. Vanessa bolted for the door and ran straight into Detective Morrison, who'd been waiting in the hallway. The next hour was chaos. Miranda rights, handcuffs. Vanessa screaming that it was all Eric's idea. Eric silent and pale. The police took the thermos as evidence, along with the vial they found in Vanessa's purse. I stood in my living room watching my son being led away in handcuffs and felt a grief so profound it nearly brought me to my knees. But I stayed standing. I had to. Patricia appeared at my elbow. The company is secure. The real documents are filed. You still own and control everything. Thank you. What are you going to do now? I thought about it. Julie was flying in tonight. The business needed stability. I needed months of chelation therapy, and I needed to figure out how to live with the fact that my son had tried to kill me. I'm going to run the company for another year, I said finally. Make sure it's stable. Promote some of the senior people who actually earned it. Then I'm going to sell it properly for fair value and split the money between Julie and the employees who've been loyal. Set up college funds for their kids. As for Eric, he made his choice. Let justice handle him. The trial took 8 months. Both Eric and Vanessa were convicted. Attempted murder, theft, fraud. Eric got 22 years. Vanessa got 19. I attended every day of the trial, sitting in the front row, making sure he saw me alive and strong and clear-eyed. The hardest part was the victim impact statement. Standing there looking at my son in an orange jumpsuit, saying the words, "You didn't just try to take my money or my business. You tried to take my life, my dignity, my trust in the goodness of the people I love. You almost succeeded. But you taught me something valuable too. Strength isn't about age. It's about refusing to be a victim. It's about fighting back with intelligence and determination. I'm 64 years old, and I'm more alive now than I've been in years. And you'll be 78 when you get out of prison if you serve your full sentence. I hope you use that time to find the son I raised somewhere inside the stranger who tried to kill me." He didn't look at me, just stared at the table. A year after the trial, I sold WooTech to a good company that kept all our employees and gave them better benefits. I used part of the money to start a foundation helping elderly victims of financial abuse, Because I learned that what happened to me happens to tens of thousands of seniors every year. Most don't survive, most don't fight back. Julie and I scattered her mother's ashes in all the places Lisa wanted to see. Paris, the Grand Canyon, a beach in Hawaii at sunset. I told Lisa's memory everything. Standing on a cliff overlooking the ocean. He tried to kill me, and I beat him. I think you'd be proud of that. And disappointed in him. I'm both. I'm 66 now. I date occasionally. I volunteer at the foundation. I travel with Julie and her family. And sometimes I wake up angry about the years I could have had with Eric, the grandchildren he and Vanessa might have given me. But mostly, I wake up grateful. Grateful to be alive. Grateful to have been smart enough and strong enough to fight back. Grateful to have a daughter who loves me and friends who saved me. The house is still too big. But I've filled it with life now. Book club on Tuesdays. Poker games on Thursdays. Julie and her family for long weekends. The empty chairs don't echo quite so much anymore. People ask me sometimes if I've forgiven Eric. I tell them the truth. I don't know if I ever will. But I've forgiven myself for not seeing it sooner, for trusting too much, for being too ready to step back and fade away. At 64, I thought I was supposed to be winding down, becoming less. Instead, I learned that fighting for your life, fighting for justice, fighting for the right thing, that doesn't have an age limit. If anything, I'm better at it now than I ever was at 30. I have patience. I have wisdom. I have nothing left to prove except that you don't beat a Wu easily, no matter how old he gets. The foundation helps about 200 families a year now. We provide legal aid, investigative services, medical support for victims of poisoning or abuse. We've gotten 36 people convicted and helped recover millions in stolen assets. Every single one of those cases, I think about how it could have been me, fading away, confused and sick, thinking it was just old age, signing everything away and dying without ever knowing the truth. But that's not what happened. I fought back, and I won. That's the story I want people to know. Not just the tragedy of betrayal, though that's real, but the triumph of refusing to be a victim, of being smarter and tougher than the people who underestimated you because of your age. I am Henry Wu. I'm 66 years old. My son tried to kill me for my money, and I'm still here, still standing, still making a difference. Age gave me the wisdom to see the truth, the patience to build a case, and the strength to face my own son in court and watch justice be served. That's not just survival, that's victory, and it's never too late to fight back.